You are listening to the Geekly Chronicles.
So Quidditch seems to have kind of leapt from page to screen to reality now, and we should be joined on the line now by a very real life Quidditch player. Rachel, hello.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on the show today. Quidditch,
That's
then.
Okay, thanks.
It's
Yeah.
You know, I loved the Harry Potter books and I loved the idea of Quidditch. One of my most favourite stories, though, because I was not a young child when I read the Harry Potter books, but I remember reading an interview with J.K. Rowling who said that, a lot of younger children were really like, punching the air when Quidditch games were won in the book and stuff like that, and hugging each other and being really kind of roused by this idea of Quidditch in the books. And obviously it was brought to life on screen really well. But how was that converted into to real life? I'm presuming you don't fly.
Yeah. So pretty obviously we don't fly, but we do have a broom between our legs. Well, not a broom. These days we use a length of PVC piping. So it's a full contact mixed gender sport that's played on the ground, on a field. And you have all the players on pitch have a broom between their legs that they have to keep there. It's kind of like a handicap. So like in rugby, you have to pass backwards. In basketball, you can only dribble. So it's sort of to level the playing field a bit. Because if you dismount your broom, you have to go back and touch your hoop. So there are hoops at each end of the pitch. And then you have up to 7 players on the pitch. Anyone who's seen or read the book will know that you have 3 chasers whose job it is to score through the hoop with the quaffle, which in real life Quidditch is a slightly deflated volleyball. And so they pass and shoot that between them, running up the pitch and try and shoot with that. But then at the other end of the pitch is each team has one keeper whose job is to defend the hoop, much as keepers do in most sports. And then on attack,
3 hoops, right?
There's 3 hoops, yeah. So 3 vertical hoops of different heights, each one. And so then on attack, the keeper can become like a chaser and try and score. But like I said before, it's full contact, so people tackle each other. Like there are some rules to the tackling, like you can only tackle the person with the ball and you can only tackle from the front with one arm. But yeah, so people just tackle each other, take them to the ground and try and get the ball off each other.
Yikes.
And yeah, but then to add into that, you have beaters, which, as anyone who's seen the films and read the books knows, that the bludgers are balls that fly around and try and knock people off their brooms. And so we use dodgeballs for bludgers, which the beaters throw at the other team. And so you have 2 beaters on each team, but 3 bludgers.
Right.
So they have to fight to get control of more of the bludgers.
Nice.
And if you get hit with a bludger, you have to dismount your broom, go back and touch your hoops.
Right.
And so that sort of levels the playing field a bit more, in that because there can be quite large people who will try and just run straight through the chasers. But if you get hit with the ball, no matter what your size, you have to turn around and go and touch your hoops and drop the quaffle if you're holding it.
Wow.
And then 18 minutes into the game enters the snitch, which obviously is a tiny winged golden ball in a fictional version of the sport, but we use a tennis ball in a sock velcroed to the shorts of a person.
Right.
So the snitch runner is a neutral person, kind of like another referee, who enters the game at 17 minutes, and then a minute later the speakers are released, and they have to try and get this tennis ball in a sock by basically wrestling with the snitch. And so all of this is going on at once, and it can be a bit intense. And then beater play has to go between seekers and chasers, and it's a lot of fun and just gets quite confusing to watch if you don't know what's going on.
I can imagine.
So I heard a funny story about the Quidditch players when they first started playing Quidditch at the university I attended. It was sort of after I was there, but when they first started playing Quidditch and the rules sort of weren't properly established yet. And their snitch would, I suppose, do anything to escape getting caught, including taking the bus into town. Other rules as to what the snitch can and can't do to avoid getting caught.
When it started, there were lots of there were very few rules to begin with, and slowly rules got added in. So snitches used to be able to climb trees and go across lakes and just go into town and whatever.
Nice.
And then slowly they got tamed down. Like, it was only a couple of rulebooks ago that we stopped off-pitch speaking. So, like, the snitch used to leave at the beginning of the game and run off, and you could catch them off-pitch. But now we only have it at 18 minutes. The snitch comes onto pitch because it just makes it a bit easier, really, to know what's going on.
I suppose it's quite interesting having a sport that in the Muggle world, as I suppose I should say it. It's probably wrong for me to say the real world. That is so new that the rules must be iterating all the time. It's not like something like football, not a sport that I'm a particularly big fan of, but the rules of that seem to change very little over time. But it sounds like this has been something that's been evolving quite a lot recently.
Yeah, it is. Pretty much every year for the past few years, we've had a new rule book. We're literally a couple of weeks ago, I think, the rulebook 10 was dropped, and the sport's only been around for almost 11 years now. So, yeah, pretty much almost every year we've had a new rulebook with slightly different rules.
And so you're part of a team. How many teams are there up and down well, certainly, let's talk about the UK for now. How many teams are there up and down the country?
In the UK, I think there's between around 30 and 40 teams at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm part of the Nottingham Nightmares, who are obviously based in Nottingham. And yeah, I think probably somewhere between 30 and 40. It's taken off quite considerably in the past couple of years. Like a few years ago, there were only about sort of 15 to 20 teams, and then the past 2 seasons, the number has just shot up, and everyone's getting involved now.
And is there a league?
There's not a league as such. It's a bit, because it's a mostly sort of student. Most people who play are students, so it's a bit hard for people to like every week go and play a game up and down the country, because it's sort of funded by yourself a lot of the time. So we have tournaments, and there's like annually we have the British Quidditch Cup, where sort of as many teams from around the country that can get together and play and sort of find out who's the best at that time.
That's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, well,
and then a couple of weeks ago, actually, there was the Quidditch World Cup, which was the third of its kind, where national teams actually played against each other. And the UK did really well, and we came third out of 21 teams. So that was pretty good.
Wow, played in 21 countries at least.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you get into Quidditch then? And it's kind of sounds like the sort of sport that would be quite fun to play, but I only really heard about Quidditch teams just from looking on things like Twitter and Facebook and stuff. What got you into it?
Well, I joined because when I started university, I found out that my uni had a Quidditch society, and I was quite a big Harry Potter fan, so that's what got me into it. And I was just like, oh yeah, I can give this a go, it'll be quite fun. And then just got hooked on it and just carried on playing. Like, other people give it a go, like see that it's a thing and think it's ridiculous, give it a go as a laugh, and then realise it's actually quite an intense sport and quite a lot of fun. And just that's what gets them into it. But it's like, so everyone has different things to get them into it, but I think it's a Harry Potter aspect for me, really.
And you know, how open is it a sport? I mean, you mentioned that it's a mixed gender sport, but it seems like because a lot of people would be interested in joining as a result of, you know, being a Harry Potter fan or kind of hearing about it going to university, is it the kind of thing that anyone can get involved in and have a go?
Yeah, literally anyone can have a go. It's, like I said, it's a mixed gender. It's very gender inclusive. So you get a lot of transgender and non-binary people who join the sport and then find out that they get to play as the gender they identify as. Because so one of the rules in Quidditch is the 4 maximum rule, which means you can have no more than 4 people who identify as the same gender playing on pitch at the same time. So, yeah, it's very, very inclusive. And then as far as athletic ability comes into it, because you have the broom that acts as a handicap, and then bludgers, and then different positions, and then different people of different body types find different ways to be good at the sport. It's really inclusive, and so anyone can give it a go. And then even if you don't feel that you're that good at it when you give it a go, you don't have to go to tournaments and stuff. So a lot of people just play because they really enjoy it, and everyone's accepted. And yeah,
Sounds like it'd be a really good laugh. I kind of
yeah,
feel like I want to go back to
it can
university
be.
again, so I can play Quidditch.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know if I feel like I want to go back to university again, but I do feel like I want to play Quidditch.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah.
I think.
So, I mean, it sounds absolutely fantastic, and it's, sounds like such an open sport to get involved in. So, how do people get involved? Is it just at universities, or are there recreational teams out there? Is it being played in schools?
Well, there's been a few sort of school events called that. So when younger people play it, it gets known as Quidditch, and it's sort of ran by a lot of people.
Oh.
Nice.
Older players play it, and sort of take it to schools and stuff. But there are mostly in this country at least, it's university-based teams. But there are a few community teams, and more are setting up sort of as players graduate and want to carry on playing, and they set up community teams. And then London has 2 community teams set up. But like a lot of the community teams, a lot of the university teams accept people who aren't at the university to play for them. So literally anyone can get involved if they can find like a team that's near to them.
Oh, that's awesome. I just love the idea of Quidditch. Sounds quite cool, actually. I think we need to start a petition with the government that Quidditch should be a sport that is in schools like football and rugby. I think it sounds a lot more accepting than football and rugby at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably have hated PE a bit less if I got to do Quidditch in school.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I didn't mind some of PE, but I wasn't a big fan of the sports part of it.
That was my main problem.
Yeah.
The sports, the going outside, and the having to remember to drag a kit bag around were the 3 things that kind of made PE problematic.
Yeah, and that whole, if you then decided to leave your kit bag at school because it was easier, after a few weeks, nobody wanted to stand anywhere near you.
Yeah.
It got a bit ripe.
Yeah.
I
Although
remember
I have
leaving
to
my
say-
trainers everywhere and
dear.
then always having to go back for them. Oh, it's the worst.
I left a sandwich in my locker once in year 7, and I found it again by the time I got to like year 8. No, year 9 or year 10.
Oh dear.
It was not good.
Oh no.
It was not good.
We weren't allowed lockers, probably because of things like that.
We got lockers for
Sandwich
the first
incident.
time when I started secondary school, and I think they took them away after that. Turned into some kind of biological warfare thing with my sandwich attacking anyone that came anywhere near the lockers.
Oh dear.
So back to Quidditch.
Yes.
Via a momentary sandwich detour, which does happen to me fairly often.
True.
Thinking about the Olympics, then, how far off do you think we are of having Quidditch as an Olympic sport?
Ooh, that'd be good.
Probably quite far at the moment, I'd say. So one of the things that I think that would be stopping it being like an Olympic sport is sort of the snitch aspect of it, because I think at times that sort of throws a bit of a wild card into the mixture that you don't really get in other sports, because obviously it's not like 2 teams battling it out, it's 2 teams battling it out against a third person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's sort of keeping us off for a while. But
a lot of other Olympic sports are very formulaic, aren't they? They're quite dull when
Yeah.
you think about it. Quidditch is really the only interesting sport that has that kind
air of ridiculousness.
air of mystery. Be perfect at the Ridiculympics.
It would.
Yeah. But so recently, Quidditch UK, which is the governing body for this country, got recognised by a sporting. I can't even remember what it's called now, but it's a stage that is on the way to helping us get recognised by Sport England, because that's sort of the goal at the moment, to hopefully in the future get recognised as an actual sport. But
I mean, obviously it is an actual sport, but I guess does that like unlock funding and things like that? And...
Yeah. It would sort of help us get more funding and get because at the moment we're entirely run by volunteers. Like no one is getting paid on the Quidditch UK by Quidditch UK yet. Referees are the only people. Head referees are the only people who are currently getting paid.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so that's a very important and really important quest there to get recognised as a sport. That could open a lot of doors and also get a lot of people talking about it as well.
Yeah. Like the more we can get people talking about it, the better it will be as well. The more people that get involved, the bigger it will grow.
So what can we do, us non-Quidditch players, not just necessarily the three of us sat here in the studio, but all of those people listening that don't play Quidditch, what can we do to help get Quidditch recognised as a sport?
Probably sort of treat it as an actual sport when you're talking about it. It's like, rather than it just being sort of a ridiculous spectacle that you see some nerds in a park playing this sport, because it's sort of the way people treat it helps with that. And then it's like not relating it as much to the Harry Potter aspect, because it's sort of grown into something else in its own right now. Like, to begin with, obviously, it was just sort of a bunch of people who are Harry Potter fans started this sport, but now it's grown into its own thing, and it's sort of thrown off a lot of the ties to the Harry Potter world. And we try to sort of get sort of articles written about it and not sort of do all the really bad Harry Potter jokes and everything about it. And I think that's most of it. Just sort of treat it as an actual sport and just not laugh at it, really.
Oh yeah, I mean I think that's it's nice if people don't laugh at anyone for doing anything that they like, isn't it? But let's be realistic. 4chan exists, so but it is amazing to see new sports coming and people being so passionate about it. So what is next for you and Quidditch? Are you going to come on and become the head of Quidditch UK? Are you going to be one of these players that we see in the Olympics in a few years' time?
I doubt I'd be head of Quidditch UK. I don't feel like that's kind of my thing. But no. So the new season's about to start in a few weeks, and I'm just hoping to do well and win some games this season. Like, I didn't make Team UK last year. That's something I might aim for, but I don't know. I guess just hope to do the best I can, win some games, do some Quidditch.
And what position do you play?
I'm a beater. Yeah, I hurl dodgeballs at other people.
Nice.
See, now that in itself just sounds like a fun hobby.
Yeah, that's probably what I want to do.
Very stress relieving.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like, who needs a stress ball when you can throw stuff at people?
Bounce dodgeballs off people.
Oh, definitely.
Excellent. So where can people watch this this spectacular sport if they want to get involved? Is there a website that has fixtures on? Is it just a club by club thing?
Well, so anything that's QUK official would be on the Quidditch UK website, which is quidditchuk.org. So they try and put up as much as they can and advertise stuff there. And then just generally searching Twitter and Facebook for Quidditch, you can find your nearest teams, and teams try to post when they're playing games and stuff. So Quidditch UK website mostly, and you can find out where all of the nearest teams to you are and sort of get in contact with them if you wanted to find out when they're training and stuff as well.
Brilliant.
Wonderful.
We encourage any of our listeners to get involved.
Absolutely.
One last question for you, and this is almost a challenge that I'm giving the three of us here in the studio as well, much to Chris and Catherine looking at me over the studio unfavourably here. But one of the things, and I know we just talked about differentiating Quidditch from the books and the films of the Harry Potter universe, but one of the quintessential things that people will remember from seeing Quidditch in the films is the commentary that goes along with it. Do you have commentators at Quidditch games?
We do try to have commentators. If anyone goes onto YouTube and finds any Quidditch games, a lot of them will have some commentary, and the commentary is just as good as the stuff in the films and the games. During World Cup was actually live streamed, and we had a commentator on there who was brilliant. But yeah, we do try to get commentary on as many games as we can, because it tends to be quite stupid, quite witty, quite banterous at times.
Well, I'm going to challenge us here, the crew here in the Geekly Chronicles studio, to at some point during the next Quidditch season, the three of us need to go see a Quidditch game, catch some commentary, and do some interviews. What say you, Catherine and Chris?
I say
It's worth a shot.
I would be more than up for going and watching some Quidditch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. And yes, let's do it. Oh dear, what have you put me down for? But yeah,
Well, I've said it live on air now, so you have to.
I want to go and
That's
watch
the
the
rule.
Quidditch.
Yeah.
So it's that whole adding work into the thing. Like, you know, I'm an Olympic, I'm a ridiculous Olympic gold medal holder in work avoidance. What do you think I think of them?
Although
it's true.
If we do go and watch some Quidditch and commentate it, we can put it down as a business expense. So
there you go then.
That's incentive enough for me.
We'll buy all of the post Quidditch pizza. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. It's been absolutely amazing to hear about Quidditch.
Thank you for having me. It's been great talking about it.